Hey there, guys. This video is going to start our next unit of study, which is over ratios, proportions, and percents. The nice part about this unit is it should be a lot of review from what you learned in 6th grade math about those three topics, ratios, proportions, and percents. But I need to be sure everyone has a solid understanding of all of those concepts before we go on to the units to come. So if you got it last year, then that's great. If you didn't, then this is your second chance this year to work with those three things. So in this video, we're going to start out just with ratios, and the first question we're going to remind ourselves of is, what is a ratio? Well, all a ratio is, it's a comparison of two values. That's all it boils down to. It's just a comparison of two values. And we can write ratios in three different ways. So we're in algebra class, so I'm going to use some variables here. So let's say we have a quantity A and a quantity B. So if I'm talking about the ratio of A to B, then I can describe that using the following notations. I can write it as A colon B. I can write it as A to B, or I can write it as a fraction, A over B. Anytime you see any of these three ways, we always read it as the second way, A to B. So even if there's a colon or a fraction bar, you still read it as A to B. But they all mean the same thing. And just like fractions, ratios should always be written in simplest form. Okay, so that means reducing when necessary on ratios. So we're going to practice just writing ratios now using those three different ways and simplifying when necessary. So number one here, we have the ratio of 8 DVDs to 2 books. And so that ratio, we take the first number compared to the second number, and we can write that as a fraction, 8 to 2. But since this is a reducible fraction, I am going to reduce that to the fraction 4 to 1. So 4 to 1 is my ratio. And then the other two ways to write it are, again, with the colon, 4 to 1, and with the word 2, 4 to 1. Okay, next, we have 20 flounder to 8 bluefish. So the ratio is 20 to 8, which does reduce to 5 to 2. So the ratio is 5 to 2 for this one, and then here's the other two ways to write that. Okay, number 3, 36 bananas to 27 apples. So the ratio is 36 to 27. I can reduce that down to 4 to 3, and so that's my ratio here, 4 to 3. That means for every 4 bananas, there are 3 apples. Number 4, 30 quarters to 72 nickels. So the ratio is 30 to 72. That reduces down to 5 to 12. So that means 5 quarters to every 12 nickels. Okay, so that's just a review of how to simplify and write ratios in those three different forms. Number 5 here, I guess we have a few more examples. It says, this past season, the hockey team had 48 wins and 28 losses. And we're going to write each ratio in simplest form. This time we'll only pick one way to do that. It's really important to keep the order the same. So part A asks us to write a ratio of wins to losses. So the number of wins we know is 48, so that's going to be my first number in the ratio. And then the number of losses was 28, so that's my second number. So my ratio is 48 to 28, and that reduces to 12 to 7. So my ratio of wins to losses is 12 to 7. Part B asks us to write the ratio of losses to total games played. Well, we know losses, again, is 28, so that's my first number in the ratio. The second number, the total games played, well, that's going to be the total number of wins plus the total number of losses. So that's 48 plus 28, which is 76. So the ratio is 28 to 76, and that reduces to 7 to 19. All right, number 6, given the word Massachusetts, find each ratio in simplest form. So A asks us to find the ratio of vowels to consonants. So a review, vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. So let's count the number of A, E, I's, O's, and U's in Massachusetts. I see an A, another A, a U, and an E. So I see a total of 4 vowels. So that's the top number in the ratio, 4. And that must mean the rest of the letters are consonants. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 consonants. So the ratio is 4 to 9, and that is not reducible, so that's my answer. Part B asks to find the number of S's to total letters. Okay, so let's count the number of S's. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 S's. And then we know from part A that there are 4 vowels and 3 consonants. So the number of vowels plus the number of consonants is the total number of letters. So that means there must be 13 total letters. So the ratio here is 4 to 13. Okay, going to the back side, let's talk about ratios with measurement. So anytime ratios involve measurements, both quantities need to have the same unit of measure. And so in the examples below, you're going to see 2 quantities compared that have different units of measure. And so the first step is going to be converting one unit to the other. And notice I put here, it's usually easier to convert the larger quantity to the smaller quantity. So let me show you how that works in number 7. We have 1 foot to 4 inches. Feet are larger than inches, so it's going to be a little bit easier for this problem so we don't have to worry about decimals to convert feet to inches, and you should know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Okay, so that's my first step, is to convert these to the same unit. So now I can write this ratio as 12 to 4, 12 inches to 4 inches, and that reduces to the ratio 3 to 1. Okay, 2 feet to 2 yards. Yards are larger than feet, so I'm going to convert the number of yards here to feet. There are 3 feet in 1 yard, and so that means there are 6 feet in 2 yards. So now this ratio is 2 to 6, which reduces to 1 to 3. Okay, number 9, 200 centimeters to 5 meters. So we'll convert meters since that's the larger one here. There are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Okay, make sure you know that, 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So that means that in 5 meters there are 500 centimeters. So my ratio is going to be 200 to 500. And that will reduce to 2 to 5. Okay, number 10, 4 cups to 8 pints. Another useful volume measure conversion to know is that there are 2 cups in 1 pint. Okay, 2 cups in 1 pint. So if you don't know some of these, make sure you're writing these down over here. We had the 12 inches in 1 foot earlier, and the 3 feet in 1 yard. So now 2 cups in 1 pint. So that means in 8 pints there are going to be 16 cups. So this ratio is going to be 4 to 16. And that reduces to 1 to 4. Okay, number 11, another example of capacity or volume, 2 gallons to 10 quarts. There are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So that means in 2 gallons there are 8 quarts. So this ratio is going to be 8 to 10, and that reduces to 4 to 5. Next, 3 pints to 4 gallons. There are 8 pints in a gallon. 8 pints in 1 gallon. And you don't need this for this problem, but just so you know, that means there's 16 cups in a gallon as well. Since there's 2 cups in a pint and 8 pints in a gallon, there would be 16 cups in a gallon. So for this one, 4 gallons, if there's 8 pints per gallon, there's 32 pints in 4 gallons. So this ratio is 3 to 32, and that can't be reduced, so that's the answer. Okay, a few more here. 28 minutes to 1 hour. Here's one you definitely should know. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So I can change this to 60 minutes, and that means that this ratio is 28 to 60. That does reduce. It reduces to 7 to 15. 28 and 60 are both divisible by 4, so 7 to 15. Okay, 8 hours to 2 days. Again, another one you should know. The time ones you should definitely know here. 24 hours in 1 day. And so in 2 days, that's going to be 48 hours. So this ratio is 8 to 48, which reduces to 1 to 6. Okay, last example here. It says it took Jane 1 hour and 20 minutes to do her math homework, while it took Ainsley just 45 minutes. And this question asks us to find the ratio of time it took Jane to do her homework to the time it took Ainsley to do hers. Well, the first thing we want to do is make sure that we have both of these quantities in the same unit of measure. Notice Ainsley's time is 45 minutes. Jane's time, however, is given in hours and minutes, so we need to convert Jane's time to minutes before we can write this ratio. So we know that she took 20 minutes, first of all. That's part of her time. And then in addition to 20 minutes, she took an hour. Well, an hour we know is 60 minutes, so this is 20 minutes plus 60 minutes. So really, Jane took a total of 80 minutes to do her math homework. So this ratio, we're supposed to compare Jane's to Ainsley's, is going to be 80 to 45. And that reduces to 16 to 9. 16 to 9. Okay, if you had any questions over this video, make sure you have those written down for the next time you're in class. Until then, have a nice day. You're all wonderful people, and take care.